What a great discussion. And let's continue that topic and take Bitcoin further into that next generation, that next era around DeFi or decentralized finance. This next panel is going to talk about staking, stablecoins, swaps, and is this how Bitcoin DeFi scales? We'll find out. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome up our next panel and their moderator, Brad of CoinDesk.
I don't know, either way.
This is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. Very happy to have everybody here, and thanks to the panelists. Thanks to the conference. I was just thinking this conversation is playing out all over town this week, and it could go on for several days. I've listened to several podcasts. I was just saying that I went up to Dallas last weekend. I listened to David say's podcasts all the way up and all the way back, but we could talk forever. But what's maybe magical about this is this group of people right here, right now, today. And so we'll try to have a really good discussion. You know, some of these projects are really well known, maybe others not so much. I mean, all of these projects are brand new, pretty much. So why don't we just do a quick bullet round, like try to keep it, 1 minute elevator pitch on your project. Tizzly, you want to go first?
Sure. So, thanks for having me. My name is Tizzly Buff. I'm building Tizz, which is going to be one of the more exciting perpetual exchanges that comes out on Bitcoin. We use Botanic's Spider Chain as our kind of layer 2. And it's basically taking the inspiration from Curve and Bear Chain and applying vote gauging to perpetual exchanges. And taking collateral types of like maybe in the future it could be like Yala and Hermetica, but taking these different interesting collateral types to draw in competing traders to leverage trade, and using this kind of collaterals we can draw significant yields directly from Bitcoin.
Vicky?
Sure, sounds good. So my name is Vicky. I'm co-founder and the CTO for Yala. Yala is BTC-backed stablecoin issuer and lending protocol. We're here to discuss more about how the BTC ecosystem look like. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Jakob. I'm the founder CEO of Hermetica. We're building a Bitcoin-backed yield-bearing stablecoin where we pair a spot Bitcoin position with a short perpetual futures position. We lock in the dollar value and represent that on chain. We're live on the Runes protocol since last week. And if you want to hold a stable coin that is outside the fiat banking system that earns a yield of up to 25%, you can come to our website and get access to that product today.
Hi, everybody. I'm David, co-founder of Babylon. Hey, we're supposed to talk to the back of the room, guys.
Yeah, that's getting louder.
Hey, I'm David, co-founder of Babylon. What are we doing here? We are observe one thing. Ethereum, since the merge, have ETH staking. ETH staking is a new security model, was a new security model for Ethereum, but it was also became a new DeFi primitive for Ethereum. Many important projects like Lido, EigenLayer, they're all built on top of this very important ETH staking primitive. Bitcoin, because proof of work does not have this primitive, and our goal of our project is to build this Bitcoin staking primitive for Bitcoin.
All right, thank you, David. All right, just, to set this up, somebody sent me a slide the other day. I think maybe I mentioned this to you. We talked about this, Tizzly, on our call. It was a screenshot of a chart that showed all of the layer 2 projects and side chains building on top of Bitcoin. There were 83 of these, okay? And now, on top of that, and maybe in addition to that, and at the same time, there's all these DeFi projects that are now everywhere. So I guess the question is, what is this development competition look like from here for the next 2 or 3 years? Is it a fast shakeout? Are we going to find a winner super fast, or is there always going to be a thousand flowers blooming? I don't know. Vicky, why don't you start?
Okay, I'll do the first. Let me try to rephrase your question, make sure we get it. So you see that right now they have less than 100 L2s on the market. You ask about what will be look like 2 or 3 years, right? So
Yeah. Especially, DeFi solutions. Like, if there's going to be a few winners, how long is that going to take?
I feel this is just basically tell us there's a market need for BTC L2. Definitely, I see that when the situation happen like this, I expect maybe a few will run out, and a few will really leading the positions. From my view, is we want to help those to be able to get at the market. So that's where the Yala's position is bring liquidity to the L2 like Botanics and others to let them to be able to help over the ecosystem grow.
Does anybody want to respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I agree that there's a market need. I think we are seeing a reinvigoration of the Bitcoin builder spirit, which is super exciting. At the end of the day, technology evolves in experiments. And so we're running a number of experiments. Some of them will fail, as experiments do. Some of them will lead us to deeper insights and better technologies. And so I'm really excited about that change in the Bitcoin ecosystem. A year ago, probably even a year ago, it was wrong thing to even utter the idea of building on Bitcoin. Now we're in a completely different state. You see that today here. You see that across the ecosystem. How will it play out? We don't know. Nobody can predict the future. What we know is that we'll come out of it with more technologies, more builders, and better understanding of what really needs to be built, and that's what we're here for.
Just to sort of pivot a little bit, I was just trying to make it, get who's building on what among this group here. We've got Tizzly, you're building on Spider Chain.
That's right.
And then Jakob, your runes, kind of, right?
That's
and
right.
then David's got building a staking ecosystem,
We're building on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
building on Bitcoin, a staking, and Yala is kind of its own thing. It's a whole
We are
ecosystem, right?
stablecoin issuer with multi-chain strategy, so it's BTC-backed stablecoin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But so I'm curious, there's Bitcoin and then there's these systems atop of Bitcoin. And if you're building DeFi, do you have to choose one of those? You're making kind of a bet on the meta protocol you're building your DeFi on. David, what do you think about this?
So we are DeFi project agnostic because any project, any L2, any projects that wants security, we can help them. So we are a arms dealer. So answering your earlier question, the more the merrier.
Okay. And what about some of the builders here? Tizzly, what do you think?
So ultimately, what we realized is that Bitcoin is like the best settlement layer, and we, now that we can do all this kind of like building on top of Bitcoin, it means that we're in the early stage of onboarding money onto software. It's very much just a penny in the drop. So it's like we're going to continue trying various experiments for a while, and I don't think we're going to step on anyone's toes because there's just so much to onboard for now. Yeah.
But you are, with your strategy, you're kind of making a bet on Spider Chain, right? And
Yes. So Spider Chain, even in the previous Ethereum world, right? You build in one kind of ecosystem, but then as you kind of find product market fit, you kind of can blossom out to other ecosystems as well. And so our bet is that Spider Chain is going to be one of the early successful DeFi ecosystems on Bitcoin. So we want to start there, but then we'll let the market take us wherever we go.
And Jakob, why don't you talk about your choice of runes?
Yeah, we believe that Runes is a fungible token standard that has a social shilling point in the Bitcoin ecosystem that it really allows us to express fungible tokens on Bitcoin L1. We're really excited about it. It's Bitcoin native, meaning you're signing transaction on Bitcoin L1. And so it's a very nice user experience to be Bitcoin, fully on Bitcoin. But we are also excited about a lot of Bitcoin L2 solutions. I think at the end of the day, we have to realize that Bitcoin L1 is very limited, and you can only represent so much on Bitcoin L1 in terms of high transaction fees, high latency. And so we need Bitcoin L2 solutions. We're personally very excited about Stacks. We've been building in the Stacks ecosystem for a year and a half, and we'll be deploying USDH to Stacks very, very shortly here. And there's going to be a user experience on Stacks that we can represent on Bitcoin L1. And there's a lot of opportunity to build in that ecosystem. And yeah, you said there's 83 up to 100 new L2s, which is obviously kind of crazy. A lot of them will probably not work out the way that they intended to, but there's going to be some of them that work out. And as a stablecoin issuer, we're not bound to any chain. We can issue to any other chain that gains traction and gets a user base that we're interested in. And so we'll play that by ear as the ecosystem develops.
Let's just stay on stablecoins, which is, again, something that people weren't talking about on Bitcoin, a while ago. But now, lots of people are talking about Bitcoin-backed stablecoins or stablecoins on Bitcoin. Vicky and Jakob, you both thought this would be a good question. How is this a game changer for Bitcoin DeFi to have Bitcoin-backed stablecoins, or what are we really talking about? Vicky, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can do first. I have more offer from the previous question. I can start from there. So how I think about this is when you think about so many L2 on the market, you really want to go with the first principles about how to really offer value for the players in this ecosystem. When come to that, when we look at this, I think Babylon actually do a good job offer security capability to other chain as Bitcoin can offer. Same as us, we want to offer Bitcoin as liquidity to other chains. We actually launch on Botanics as well next month. So that's where we see this as comes with a Bitcoin holder, how we can bring value to them. Come back to the stablecoin is the same. The stablecoin we think is the proxy for really bring Bitcoin liquidity to other chains to allow Bitcoin holders to really gain yield, similar with what you guys offer, but a different flavor. What Jakob offer is a synthetic dollar, which is similar with Athena. What we offer is more traditional, similar with like a MakerDAO DAI. What we are doing is basically over collateral stablecoin, which is different with the fiat base, because if you think about USDC, USDT, you have to touch the fiat and the bank. So which could bring a lot of complexity come from regulation. So that the ideal way we think about it is actually if we have BTC back, given that the big BTC market is so significant, actually you have a new stablecoin allow you to easily to use and also be able to do the holding the value and be able to do transaction and payment. So that's where we think it will be very valuable for the market.
Well, I think it's interesting, and I was just talking with Sunny Agarwal of Osmosis, who's one of the developers of the Cosmos ecosystem, and his the point he made was, what are we talking about? Are we talking about DeFi on Bitcoin, or are we talking about getting Bitcoin into DeFi wherever that is? And that I guess the idea of a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin is maybe somewhere in between, but I don't know. David, do you have any thoughts on that question? Is it more important to have DeFi on the Bitcoin blockchain, or just to get the Bitcoin liquidity out to DeFi in whatever ecosystem?
Yeah, so DeFi on Bitcoin L1, right? That's quite difficult because Bitcoin L1 doesn't have a smart contract. As you mentioned earlier, latency is bad, throughput is low, block space is limited. So I think that's difficult. What I think is interesting is to bring two things from Bitcoin outside. One is security, which we're doing, Bitcoin staking. And two is liquidity, which many projects are building on. And new technologies like BitVM or OPCat are essentially efforts to build trustless way of bridging the Bitcoin from Bitcoin chain to L2 to other chains like Osmosis, for example, that you mentioned. So I think that's where the action is from a technology point of view.
But I mean, for Babylon, your DeFi protocols could be secured by your staking mechanism. Is that
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So the two ways of building on Babylon, right? One is you take the security of Babylon and you can build DeFi on top of that DeFi chain. Another way is you can, say, do an LST on top of Babylon, which many projects are doing right now, actually. So that's a DeFi primitive built on top of the Babylon Bitcoin staking primitive.
Yeah.
So there are two directions here.
It's super. Do you want to say something? Yeah.
I think it comes down to a trade-off of security versus like compute that's necessary for some DeFi applications. So we're going to see slowly some Bitcoiners that put it underground in their hardware wallet. They're slowly going to trickle out as they find more and more comfortable paths of earning yields while maintaining security. So it's a trade-off whether you want to keep it the L1 level or be compromising some level of security to do more things.
Well, I think that's super. It gets into maybe the culture war here, right? I mean, Bitcoin community has historically been very conservative, risk averse, security conscious, and now there's sort of this, build fast, break shit mentality that's coming to Bitcoin, and I don't know how's it going to play out. I'm guessing we're going to have disasters and hacks and exploits in this Bitcoin ecosystem that people are building that might be similar to the Ethereum, what we've seen in lots of other. I don't know. Anybody want to take a shot at that one? Yeah.
No, I think 100%. If you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs, and we're pushing the boundaries of the technology stack, and there will be failures and experiments that don't work. But that doesn't mean that we won't do them or we shouldn't do them. We should do them because we have to build a decentralized financial system on the most secure layer, and that's Bitcoin. And so in order to do that, we have to actually take risk, and that's what we're here for. I want to touch very quickly on why we need stablecoins, because I think there's a meta point that is very important. Stablecoins are one of the product market fits that we have in crypto. They account for roughly 70 to 80% of the on-chain transaction volume. So they're extremely significant in Ethereum and other DeFi ecosystem. They're one half of most swaps, most lending transactions, most perp transactions. And so in order to do that, in order to bring institutional capital into the Bitcoin ecosystem, we need a stablecoin that can represent the dollar value on chain. And I think it's actually the most important building block right now for the Bitcoin ecosystem. That's why we're really excited about this opportunity to build it.
Okay. Maybe one point about the risk issue that you ask. So in Babylon, our design has always been focused on the fact that Bitcoiners are conservative and therefore averse to risk taking. So our protocol is actually trustless, and so that's our focus.
Just a related question. Somebody mentioned, a lot of these ideas, we have to be honest, all came from elsewhere. And now these people are just taking those ideas from Ethereum or wherever, Cosmos, and then just putting them on Bitcoin. And I guess they've had lots of time and experimentation on that side. And I guess as these projects arrive on Bitcoin, is it still, there's so many the devil's in the details, it's going to take a long time before this stuff gets worked out? Or is it that they have actually solved a lot of those problems and maybe it'll go faster on Bitcoin, DeFi? I don't know. You want to take a shot at that?
Sure. So, for a long time, Ethereum had contract execution at the L1 level. So, there was really compelling to build there. But now it's relatively just good for settlement. And then all these things are being built on top of there. Once we realize that we can actually just do that on Bitcoin in many ways, and then especially down the road when more kind of opcodes get accepted, then we can really pretty much do everything that we need to. Then that's going to open up a lot of opportunity. And so yes, there's a lot of testnet type experiments happening outside on Ethereum and other places. But ultimately, I think a lot of people are realizing that we can just kind of skip that and start continuing to do many more and more experiments that will come up directly on Bitcoin moving forward. So that's like kind of what's dawning on us.
Vicky, you want to take a shot?
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel it's actually not very isolated in a way. It's like, for example, the Babylon use case actually using Bitcoin actually staking to secure Cosmos, like what we are doing using Bitcoin liquidity to actually earn yield from other chains or other ecosystems like Arbitrum or others. That's where we don't view this as like Ethereum and Bitcoin are totally separate. A lot of them are actually cross-chain can be combined together to have the even bigger power or have the bigger DeFi systems. That's where we think it should be together. One more thing is I want to touch is the critical here is we have to educate the market and also allow more people to see what a Bitcoin actually can do these days. Because I feel some people come from Ethereum, they are more focused on Ethereum. They don't view Bitcoin actually is available. So that's where building a bigger ecosystem with different partners and also have more conversation like this helps all world where we can see this ecosystem growth.
Well, I think that's a really interesting question. I mean, if we're talking about the users of DeFi or the demand of DeFi for DeFi, do those people want to use the systems they're already using, or do you think they want to try Bitcoin on DeFi? Are they going to come over? What would incent them to come over to Bitcoin on DeFi? Or is it, what we were talking before, that really they just want the liquidity of Bitcoin?
We actually have do some like surveys with Bitcoin holders, the miner particular, because given that right now the incentive for Bitcoin actually going down after hot, so they are looking for alternative to gain more yield. Like last year, the BRC20 or other inscription asset helped them earn a lot of transaction fee. But that's already faded out, some of them. But so we view that they have the consistent need to earn yield. That's where they go to use Babylon or using other like a way to let them to do earn yield. That's where we see that Yala played an important role here.
We're almost out of time. Like I said, we could talk for hours. But David, we've got 1 minute, 18 seconds. I'm curious, you and people are not familiar with David's background. I mean, he's a legend in the field of information theory, and this is kind of his second career for you, right? And I'm curious, what is
New gig.
What is that?
New gig.
Okay. And what is it, what do you think is, do you see, what's your takeaway or lessons from having seen this in another world?
Yeah, so the other world is wireless cell phone. So the infrastructure we built 20 years ago enables the success, right? Everyone has a cell phone, everyone is connected to the internet. And the hope is that the work that we do now will enable the same revolution for blockchains, for Web3 in the next 20 years.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge right now is I think we're still waiting for the iPhone to show up.
The killer app.
Yeah, so iPhone was the killer app for wireless data. So we were building wireless data before iPhone shows up. We were around a room, I was in standards, and we don't really know what this bandwidth that we're building is for. And then iPhone showed up, and that's the answer. But we're ready. We're ready.
Well, I think we're out of time, but we don't know what that is right now. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. And thanks to our panelists.
Thank you.